public research university, any university, depends upon faculty, and we have lost 140 faculty in the past 4 years. And since 1990, we've lost 268. And after a while, you simply can't have a first-rate research university without enough faculty.
When I first came up to the campus in 1976, we had 35 full-time tenure track or tenured faculty in the School of Public Health. Right now, we have 13. We've been told by the accreditation that if we don't double that number, because 25 is a minimum you need for one of these accredited schools of public health, we're out of business.
We simply don't have enough faculty. A colleague of mine was just at the University of Colorado, which is about the same size as us in undergraduates and grad students. They have 1,400 faculty. We have 800 something.
In my large undergraduate class, I did a survey asking the students what their most important issues facing UMass students were. 84% of these students said that the shortage of faculty directly impacted their education and was a major issue affecting their quality of life at UMass.
This year I ran for student body president and I won. I won by a very large margin. Part of that reason is because part of my campaign focused on getting more tenured faculty at the school. And this is a concern that every student in this university, student, faculty, everybody in this university has.
And what happens when you have a large class like that is students just don't feel connected. They don't feel connected to the professors, they don't feel connected to their other students. And when you're not connected, invested in the classroom, it's a lot harder to learn the material and feel like you can reach out to the other students and reach out to the faculty for help. That means that their quality of life at the university, quality of life of learning decreases.
I've had some tremendous classes, some really influential classes that had large class sizes. But at the same time, even though the professors were incredible, it was really hard to connect with them because, there was just so many students.
Especially for freshmen and sophomores, the classes that you take are huge. The lecture classes, you have about 500 students in them, and it's impossible for you to get that one-on-one relationship with the professor.
Because classes are so over-enrolled and because there's so many grad students teaching the classes, you can't get kind of the quality of evaluation of your work that is what you need as a student in higher education.
As a department, we've emphasized writing as central to developing the sorts of critical thinking and analytical skills that we think are essential. Increasing class sizes makes that harder to do.
Students tell me often that it's a unique experience for them to be in a small class and actually be able to converse with an instructor, talk in small groups, and use their voices. They don't have that experience on campus very often.
A few classes that I've had that are small classes, you go into a lot more detail, you go into a lot more discussion. The material is covered more thoroughly. When you're in a class of 300 people, that just doesn't happen.
All my classes are being taught by adjuncts. I don't have any tenure track faculty that I'm interacting with on a daily basis.
The majority of the classes I've taken here have had to be independent studies because of a lack of faculty. They've actually only been able to take 2 classes in my department.
It's not just a want, it's not a wish, it's a need. We need to have those diverse courses and the faculty to teach them with a diverse expertise from different areas and different disciplines.
Because of the lack of faculty and because of the courses that they need to offer students who need to take them, there's a lack of more interesting classes or more specialized classes. And what ends up happening is instead of being able to take those specialized classes that you'd really like to take, you end up taking something else.
In the absence of tenure track faculty, we've had to rely on contract faculty hired generally to teach specific subjects that are lacking within a department that's been depleted by retirements or departures. We're also using our graduate students as junior faculty, which is not a good idea.
It's almost like the metaphor of learning how to ride a bike. And I know myself that the training wheels that I think of as the faculty who really supported me and believed in me gave me the courage to take risks and to go beyond what I knew as my own experience. And the undergrads that I'm meeting, I can't be those training wheels. I can be a push, I can be an encouragement, but in order to really become oneself in the world, I think you need that support and that stability. And I know that tenured faculty who are passionate and committed to an institution and committed to their students and to students over the long haul really provide that.
If there were more faculty, there would be more advising. And I can't even begin to tell you how systemically
that would improve the quality of education for students here. If they had access to faculty, if they could get good advice, if they had somebody to reflect with.
One of the requirements for going to graduate school is that you have, a line of recommendations from professors, but being that you're one person in a sea of people, there's no way for a professor to ever get to know you. There's no way for a professor ever to understand, the work that you're doing. So when it comes time to getting recommendations, I'm not sure who I'm going to go to.
When you're applying for jobs, you're applying for internships, you're applying for law school, med school, whatever, you need a recommendation. And how can you get that recommendation when your professor doesn't know you?
Now, one of the problems that comes up with reference to this is that if you don't have anybody freshly out of graduate school that's full of the latest things being taught at Princeton, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and Berkeley, then you've lost out on the continuity of your own field.
Most of the graduate students in natural sciences and math are being paid for by grant money, which was won by the effort and research prestige and research record and intellectual leadership of tenure-track faculty. That's what you need to run a major research enterprise.
The Amherst campus brings in more than $100 million a year in research money. The Polymer Science Department is a world leader. It brings in $8 million a year with 17 faculty. The Computer Science Department brings in something like $20 million a year. But it's tenure-track faculty who bring in that money, and without those people there, we won't be able to keep bringing in the research money.
The decline in the number of tenure-track faculty also affects the number of minority faculty who are teaching on campus, faculty of color. And this really affects the overall diversity of education and has specific consequences for minority students who have fewer and fewer mentors.
I recently had a student who was accepted to university and was coming here, this was just last week. And I asked him out of curiosity, because it was a tangential discipline to mine, why he came to speak to me. And he said, "You're the only Latina that I could speak with."
When I first came here, it was $10,000. And now it's $16,000, which means that my little brother will have to pay $16,000 to go here. And by the time my little sister gets here, I have no idea what the price is going to be.
Massachusetts is the only state in the nation that is spending less on public higher education than it spent a decade ago. We are now 47th out of 50 states in per capita spending on public higher education.
The overwhelming number of graduates remain in the state after they complete their degrees, and they contribute both to the economy and the cultural life of the state.
The great thing about a public university like UMass is that our students come from communities all around the state, and when they get their degree at UMass, they go back and serve those communities.
So there's this huge loss of quality of education and this huge loss of reputation, which comes with losing our tenure-track faculty. And I really hope that we reverse that trend.
The faculty and the students have a question to pose, and we want to pose it to the governor and the legislature and the UMass administration, but also to the alumni and the parents. And that is, do you want UMass to be a first-class institution, or are you content to have it slip back into the second rank? And if you want it to be a first-class institution, are you prepared to step up and to have your voice be heard, speaking up for adequate funding and resources for the University of Massachusetts?